America great again.
What kind of a country do we want to have?
The truth of my life disproves their lie.
I think climate change is real.
I think we need to be able to have that policy debate.
Republicans have intensified their focus on crime and public safety this election cycle, accusing Democrats of putting the public at risk over liberal measures favoring reform policies over prison. And the GOP candidates are all hammering the point home to voters. Former President Donald Trump claims if reelected, he will, quote, reclaim safety, dignity, and peace for law-abiding Americans. He said he would also increase protections for law enforcement, like strengthening qualified immunity, a doctrine that offers protections for officers from individual liability.
Where the authority of our great police has been taken, where their families and pensions have been threatened, and their lives would be destroyed for the mere mention of the words law enforcement.
Runner-up candidate Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has been making an effort to stand out in the crowded field, in part by showing voters how much tougher he is on crime than his Republican challengers. He recently vetoed a bipartisan measure to allow some adult prisoners to expunge their criminal records.
We don't want to take somebody who is part of the criminal element and just put them right back into circulation where they're able to then commit additional crimes.
And the Florida governor also made headlines for publicly punishing two Democratic prosecutors, Orlando State Attorney Monique Worrell and Tampa area prosecutor Andrew Warren. He cited neglect of duty in both cases.
Prosecutors have a duty to faithfully enforce the law. One's political agenda cannot trump this solemn duty.
South Carolina Senator Tim Scott has become one of the chief negotiators on police reform in the upper chamber of Congress. Following the 2020 murder of George Floyd, Scott was key in building the Justice Act, focusing on police reform, transparency, and accountability. However, the legislation was blocked by Democrats who argued it didn't adequately address police misconduct or reform.
I lost a vote on a piece of legislation that would have led to systemic change in the relationship between the communities of color and the law enforcement community.
Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley has racked up some impressive wins on crime herself. She signed the first body camera bill for law enforcement in the country during her time in office. And she recently called out New York Governor Kathy Hochul to pardon Marine veteran Daniel Penny, who put a homeless man accused of antagonizing subway riders in a fatal chokehold.
The governor needs to say, we are not going to charge him. I will pardon him if he's charged, because that's the right thing to do. If you stop doing that, you're letting the criminals run loose, and that might explain what New York wants to have happen anyway.
Vivek Ramaswamy, like some of his fellow candidates, supports qualified immunity for police officers and mandatory minimum prison sentences for drug possession.
And in the name of protecting black communities and the kinds of communities that were supposedly protected by depolicing, they've actually made the country less safe for everyone, including those black communities.